Hi, welcome to the free video training, A World Full of Stories. Forge a deeper connection with nature wherever you are. This is lesson number 1, Find Your Place. If we haven't met yet, my name is Rebecca Rolnick, and I'm speaking to you from the ancestral lands of Onondaga Nation, also known as upstate New York in the USA. I'm a naturalist, National Geographic certified educator. I have a degree in conservation biology, and I've taught classes for International Nature Journaling Week, the Wild Wonder Nature Journal Teachers Conference, and I teach the Nature Journal Writing Workshop Wednesdays, featured on John Muir Law's Nature Journal community calendar. We live in a landscape full of stories. There are all these little moments around us that we observe, and we can think of them as just observations. Oh, I noticed this bird, and I'm going to record it in my nature journal. But we can also think of these moments as stories. And when we do that, they become so much more meaningful, powerful, and memorable. And they're all around us, happening all the time. You don't need any particular artistic skill or writing skills. This is a way we can take our nature journaling practice much deeper than just simply identifying things, sketching them, and putting labels on them, but to really go deeper and understand, how does what we're observing fit in with the bigger picture of the ecosystem? How are these plants and animals and landscapes all connected? But also, what does this moment that I've observed mean for me in my life? How am I part of the story? And how does finding the story within our observations help to make a difference? So if you believe in thinking globally and acting locally, if you have a longing to have a deeper connection to nature, and if you want to find a sense of calm, a sense of peace in nature, but also to find the adventure in the everyday, then you're in the right place. Full disclosure, soon I'm going to be opening up registration for a new cohort of the course I developed, Nature Journaling for Ecological Restoration. But I can only accept a small number of people into the class, and there are some pieces of the course that I really want to share with all of you. Because even if all you do is watch the free training, it can add a whole new dimension to your nature journaling, or it could help you start nature journaling if you want to try it out. So what we're going to cover in this training, it's not just a one and done thing. Watch some videos and then you'll forget about it. It can really help reorient you. And this isn't just theory. I'll be teaching activities that you can do after each lesson to put these concepts into practice right away. So the restoration class and this free training are inspired by a quote from the book Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She writes, "It's not just the land that is broken, but more importantly, our relationship to land. We can't meaningfully proceed with healing, with restoration, without restoration. In other words, the land cannot heal until we hear its stories. But who will tell them?" This word restoration, it's a play on the idea of ecological restoration, which is the science and practice of restoring damaged ecosystems. What Robin Kimmerer is saying here is that the restoration of the physical environment depends on the way we relate to land and the stories we tell about it. As one of my students put it, and I love the way that she phrased this, is that the relationship or the story is the underdrawing of the world. If you happen to include drawings as a part of your nature journal, you might know that the first layer of a drawing, if you're just drawing the basic shapes and proportions, this is called the underdrawing. And then you do the final drawing on top of that, and the underdrawing isn't visible anymore. In the same way, the stories we tell are what lies underneath our actions. So this idea of restoration is really at the core of everything that I do and why I'm teaching this. This idea completely changed the way I think about environmentalism. Instead of this misanthropic idea that people are always bad for nature, we can realize that we're a part of nature. We're the ones who can listen to the stories of the land. Right now, the earth needs all of us to tell our stories and to tell the stories of the places where we live. One of my students also said, "Your classes helped me to be a much better listener to nature, being able to sit down to relax. I know stories are fun, but I was surprised by the sheer joy out of getting to dive into the building blocks of stories and getting to piece them together. I feel more creative again instead of holding back." So, how do you find the stories of the land? The first step is to really get to know the place where you live. You don't have to go someplace far away or be immersed in the wilderness or spend hundreds of hours outside. This is something you can do with just a few minutes a day, wherever you live. Because before you can tell the stories of the land, you need to be able to listen to the land. And by that, I don't mean anything esoteric. I mean a deep awareness and observation of what's going on around you, how it has changed over time, noticing patterns and trying to understand why they happen. So here is your take-home activity for this lesson. This is the first easy little baby step to find your place. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. After this video ends, find a spot where you can observe nature that's within a 5-minute walk or less of your front door, so that you can return to it again and again. This is a really important point. It has to be close by so that you could actually visit it regularly and build a relationship. Don't overthink this. It could be your front step. It could even be a window. Some people call this a sit spot or a secret spot. So once you've found your spot, settle in and sit or stand for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Observe what's happening around you with all of your senses. Don't try to focus too hard. Be relaxed and open. Listen. Then notice, what does it feel like to be here in this spot at this moment? What are your honest thoughts and emotions? Maybe you already have a spot like this that you go to a lot. In that case, I invite you to spend a little time there with a fresh perspective that this place is not just a backdrop for human stories, but a place you have a connection to. You can almost think of it metaphorically like a friendship. Imagine spending time with a friend and catching up, listening to their stories. What's going on with them today? So introduce or reintroduce yourself to the place where you live. Take out your nature journal or print out the PDF and write down some thoughts about the following questions. What comes to mind for you? There's no right or wrong, no pressure, no judgment. No one is grading your response. In my classes, I always say, our only rule is to be kind to each other. We're all growing and learning together. So while you're in your spot, or just after you go inside, if it's cold or wet today, spend a little time with the following 3 prompts. Number 1, how would you describe your relationship to this place currently? How familiar are you with it and the plants and animals who live there? Is there anything you'd like to change or improve about your awareness of this spot? Number 2, what is special or distinct about your spot? It might seem normal and mundane to you, but we have people in the nature journal community from Australia to Canada and many places in between who are probably watching this video. How would you describe your place to someone who has never been there before? 3, what is something you love about the place where you live? What would you miss if it were gone? And finally, a bonus question to think about if you're up for another prompt. How do stories matter in your life already? As human beings, we're all storytellers. What's one of your favorite stories? It could be a book, a movie, a family story, or a cultural story. So this first activity and these prompts, I know they probably seem super simple, but if you actually try them, you can begin to experience how powerful they are. These can be the foundation of having a deeper connection to nature. So just try it out for a day. Know that this is a place where you can return to, get to know it through all the seasons of the year, a place where you can feel a sense of calm, peace, a sense of familiarity, and maybe even kinship. with the plants and animals who live there. But one question I get asked a lot is, what if I don't live in a really naturey area? Or what if I have mobility issues and I can't hike or visit places other people can go to? Unfortunately, it's a fact that not everyone has equal access to nature, and that's not fair. And it's also not really fair for me to say, yeah, you can do it anywhere, because I'm fortunate enough to live near a forest. I don't live in a city and I don't face these challenges. But I can guarantee you that no matter where you are, there's probably more happening with nature than you're currently aware of right now. Even if there is only a little bit of nature that you have access to, I encourage you to try to learn how you can make the most of it. And I will say that one of my students lives in a city and has really been able to have a richer experience because of the things that I've taught, the things that I'm teaching you in these videos. So in this lesson, I taught you how to find your place. As I said earlier, you might have heard people refer to this as a sit spot, and it's an important core practice to have experiences in nature and get to know that place, have a sense of place. But you might not know that there's a second, equally important core practice used together with the sit spot that most people don't mention. Without it, this practice of the sit spot won't be fully effective. So you really need to have both. And it has to do with story. So that's what I'll talk about in the next lesson. After this video, try out the activity I taught. Check out the link to our online classroom for this event. You can interact with the community there and leave a comment in there. Let me know. What would it mean to you in your life? How do you think it would feel to have a place in nature where you feel a real sense of belonging and to be able to tell the stories of that place? What impact would that make on your life? I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next lesson.